Hello all heroes and welcome back to Invincible guarding the globe, and today we are going to be having a little discussion on two of the top defenders in the game that aren't Conquest. Um, it is currently an hour until I have to go to work. I'm trying to be halfway quiet because the fam is still sleeping, but I was too tired to make this video yesterday. So, in my tier list video, I made an interesting choice that might have aged badly. I put the Immortal in S tier, with I think Alan in A tier. And I want to talk about and quite possibly debunk that, because that was very shortly before Conquest came out, who looks at immunity shields and just treats them as a mild suggestion. So now that we can officially definitively break immunity shields now, that was the biggie that I was really holding on to with the Immortal, and that's not nearly as strong of a factor. So I want to talk about these two characters and see if I can determine which one is best. First of all, with Alan, we have his main ability here. He's got a pretty decent cooldown of 22 seconds, can go all the way down to 16 if you'd max it out, which is actually pretty good. And then does get a taunt, which, I mean, he's a tank. He's meant to taunt. That's pretty dang good. And if you do take it all the way to level 10, that's a 5-second taunt. That's a long time to have to hit Alan. So then we have his mental workout ability. When he's fighting against heroes from not of this earth, all of his allies get a rather impressive stat boost to energy resistance and energy damage, which if I'm not mistaken, relates like to abilities. So like how much damage you take from abilities and how much damage you deal with your own ability. And all he has to do is fight against not of this earth characters, which if we do take a look at the roster, does include Universa. It's a pretty slim tag, but the fact that Universa is a part of the not of this earth tag does make it so that it is not difficult to proc at all, because 90% of the player base uses Universa in their arena teams. This is the interesting thing. Now, at first, I thought that the Immortal's invincibility was superior to this, but we now live in a post-Conquest world. The history is separated into two things: BC, which is before Conquest, and AC, which is after Conquest. This one, when he hits 1 HP, he will immediately heal and then get some healing over time. And if you do get that maxed out, it's a much chunkier heal, making it dramatically more reliable. Every now and then, if you're at level 1, if you can really overpower the Alan, you might could punch through this. But if you do get this adaptation ability leveled up, then it'll hold up very nicely. And then to synergize with that, when he is below 10%, he does get a very chunky attack and defense increase for 5 seconds, with that being stronger the more you have it leveled up. So basically, what he has, he's got a taunt on his main ability, he's got a death save that, while it's not technically invincibility, it is a very chunky heal that also cranks up his stats, and he's got some pretty healthy stat boosts as long as he's fighting against not of this earth characters, which Universa is a part of, meaning that it will trigger 90% of the time. Now, let's talk about the Immortal. Now, the kicker with the Immortal is, first of all, it's from the GDA faction, which is already just pitiful as is. So, I mean, compared to other GDA heroes, he's practically S tier, just because of a severe lack of options. But let's see what he has here. For his main ability, it's got a slightly shorter cooldown at base, but does go down to 17 seconds at level 10, so almost the same, 1 second difference. He flies upward and violently smashes into the ground, dealing base damage, pushing and stunning the enemies for 1.5 seconds. When you do get to level 5, it affects the enemy's energy defense by a percentage for several seconds. And if you do take it all the way to level 10, that stun goes up to 3 seconds. A stun is admittedly very powerful. Let's not discount that. While Alan is getting a taunt, being able to just straight up stun the enemy is not half bad. take a look at his passive here. He reduces the damage received from Viltrumites by 5% for his team, going all the way up to 35%. Now, you would not be blamed for saying that Alan's passive is better, because admittedly it is a very chunky energy attack and defense boost. However, let us not forget that some of the strongest characters in the game are Viltrumites. We're talking Invincible, Omni-Man, Thula, Conquest. All of those characters can, Anissa, all of those characters can absolutely wreak havoc in Arena if you're having a bad day, especially if you've got Anissa just shredding all of your humans' defenses as is. If the meta did not have Viltrumites like Invincible in it, this would be useless. However, not unlike Universa, Invincible is a very common character to see, and me personally, I love using Viltrumites in my team. So while it is maybe a little more restrictive, it is a relevant ability. Now, if we have Staying Alive here, this is his immunity effect. When he reaches 9%, he becomes immune for 5 seconds, and the ability has a 15-second cooldown, and then if you get it leveled up, his energy attack increases. Now, here's the thing with this. 15 seconds is a pretty quick cooldown for an immunity effect. Let's not forget that. That is admittedly, that is prompt. Here's the problem with that is it's still leaving him at 9%, which can be tricky. If he's not able to heal, then he might just get straight up murdered after his shield breaks, and of course there is Conquest. Now this mitigates that a little bit. Shared healing, when an ally gets healed, the Immortal receives 5% of the healing effect. The ability has a cooldown of 5 seconds, but if you do max it out, the ability is always active. This right here, combined with his Staying Alive effect, is why I put the Immortal up to S tier. Because as long as he's getting healed, or as long as anybody is getting healed, and this includes abilities like Leaf Light, where, wow. Did y'all hear that? Life Leech. Ooh. Life Leech. Where, you know, someone like Battle Beast or Universa or Omni-Man might get healing by doing damage. He'll receive a chunk of that as well. The kicker with that is, for this to be any kind of useful, you do have to totally and completely max it out. There's no break point. There's no like going halfway. No, you got to get this bad boy all the way to level 10. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, because you need this to be always active. And that is what restricts him a little bit, is the cost. The cost is admittedly kinda severe. Now, with that said, who would I rank as better? Would I rank Alan as better? Or would I rank the Immortal as better? Well, if we're talking Arena, I mostly see Alan more than I see the Immortal. Let's be totally honest here. The general consensus, well, you know, that's laughing in my face right there, because there's an Immortal right there, although he is very interestingly paired with an Alan. I'm not sure what I think of that. Double tank is not something you see very often. That is funky. I kind of want to get into the fight here just to see what happens, because that is weird. Now, okay. So you see, there you have it. That right there. Look at him, his poor corpse on the ground. He triggered his invincibility, but either he got overpowered before it could fully proc, or Conquest just, you know, slammed and jammed it immediately, because I do have that ability maxed out on Conquest, so it is a guaranteed effect, and I'm implied to believe that he did trigger it. So yeah, even though the Immortal is ridiculously good, that doesn't really matter if Conquest just punches a hole in you. It is also worth mentioning that of the two, Alan needs dramatically less upgrading. It's kind of like a Robot Adam Eve situation, where Robot has a higher floor, but Adam Eve has a dramatically higher ceiling. kind of the same way with Alan and the Immortal, but reversed in a way. The Immortal has a slightly higher ceiling, I think, but Alan is just so good, and unlike the Immortal, he can save himself with healing as opposed to an immunity barrier. Now, to be fair, Conquest can wreck your healing effects too. Funny enough, he actually can do that. He is quite the proficient bunker buster, actually, but it's not quite the one-shot wonder that him shattering immunity barriers is. So I think if I were to vote, and more importantly, if and when I do update the tier list, I think I would swap the Immortal and Alan. The Immortal's far from bad, and I might even keep the Immortal in S tier. I haven't decided yet. Like I said, we're now in the post-Conquest time period, so hard to say on that one. But I think I would put Alan as just a little bit better, just because he is so easy to build, and like out the box, he's amazing. Like I said though, that is not to throw off on what the Immortal can do. You get his shared healing effect up to level 10, he'll sustain himself very nicely, but you do have to factor in that that price of all the molecular enhancements you need, because like I said, there is no breakpoint here, because at level 9 it's only going to be every 3 seconds, which sounds like it's not a lot, but it adds up in a hurry. And keep in mind, it says when an ally gets healed. It doesn't say when one ally. That could be the whole team. This could go from 1 healing every 3 seconds to 4 healing constantly. I am admittedly more than a little curious to see what would happen on a really good Life Leech team with this effect leveled up. I imagine Conquest would become very difficult to put down. Unless, like you just saw, I whip out a Conquest and an Anissa on you, in which case he has no defense to speak of, and Conquest just tears through his shield immediately. So, But basically, Alan's healing, even if it does get suppressed a little bit, probably is going to be more reliable. Now, hey, if you're not up against a Conquest or any other immunity bunker buster, by all means, go crazy, go nuts. But let's be real here. The healing on Alan is probably going to serve you a little bit better. But at the end of the day, the fact that we're even having this conversation means that they're both fantastic tanks who can both serve you very well. But that is all we have for today. Let me know down in the comments below what you think, and we shall see you next time. Have a good one.